turning your midlife crossroads into a proper awakening. G'day, mate. If you're knocking about in your 40s or thereabouts, you might be feeling a bit like you're standing at a crossroads. Maybe the life you've built, decent job, maybe a family, a mortgage in the suburbs, doesn't quite spark the same fire it used to. You're not alone. That niggling sense that something's missing. That restlessness creeping in. That's not a crisis. It's a wake-up call. It's your soul whispering that it's time to dig deeper, to figure out who you really are beyond the daily grind. I'm in my late 40s myself, living in a quiet corner of Melbourne, and let me tell you, the last few years have been a revelation. It's like I've finally clicked with what that Swiss bloke, Carl Jung, was banging on about when he said life really kicks off at 40. Everything before that, just laying the groundwork, doing the research, figuring out the ropes. Back in my 30s, I reckon I would have laughed at that idea. Weren't your 20s and 30s meant to be the golden years? The time to chase big dreams, climb the career ladder, maybe buy a house in the burbs. And 40, well, that's when you're supposed to slow down, right? That's what I thought, anyway. But now, having crossed that milestone and come out the other side, I get it. Jung was onto something. The first half. Building the facade. Let's take a step back. The first half of life, your 20s and 30s, is all about building. You're out there, grafting away, trying to make something of yourself. You get the degree, land the job, maybe settle down with a partner, start a family, or buy that first home. You're ticking off the boxes society hands you: study hard, work harder, earn a crust, make a name for yourself. It's like you're following a script, one that's been handed down by your folks, your mates, or even those glossy lifestyle mags. Jung called this version of yourself the persona. It's the mask you wear to fit in, to play the game. Maybe you're the reliable accountant who never misses a deadline, or the fun-loving tradie who's always up for a barbie on the weekend. It's the polished, presentable you, the one who knows how to charm the boss, impress the in-laws, or keep the kids fed and happy. And don't get me wrong, this persona is bloody useful. It helps you navigate the world, pay the bills, and keep the wheels turning. Without it, you'd be stuffed. But here's the catch: that mask isn't the real you. It's a role you've been playing. A character you've built to get by. And as you hit your 40s, you start to notice the cracks. The things that used to get you out of bed, the next promotion, the bigger house, the flash car, start feeling a bit hollow. You might wake up one morning and think, is this it? Is this what I've been working towards all these years? That's when the unease sets in. Like an uninvited guest who won't leave. The midlife reckoning. Now, when you hear midlife crisis, you probably picture some bloke in his 40s splashing out on a shiny red ute, or chucking in his job to go surf in Bali. Or maybe it's someone suddenly obsessed with CrossFit, or signing up for a marathon out of nowhere. But Jung didn't see this phase as a punchline. To him, it was a proper turning point, a moment when the life you've built starts to unravel, and you're forced to ask the big questions. This reckoning often hits between 35 and 45. It's when you realize you've spent decades perfecting a role rather than figuring out who you are underneath it all. Maybe you're a high-flying lawyer, but deep down, you've always wanted to write poetry. Or perhaps you're a stay-at-home parent who loves your kids, but feels like you've lost a part of yourself along the way. Whatever it looks like, this is the moment when the external stuff, money, status, achievements, stops filling the void. For some, this phase is terrifying. You might try to dodge it by doubling down on the old script. You chase bigger goals, a fancier job title, a second investment property, a holiday to the Whitsundays, hoping it'll bring back that spark. But no matter how hard you try, it doesn't quite hit the mark. Others, though, see this as a chance to hit reset. It's not about blowing up your life or running off to join the circus. It's about listening to that quiet voice inside you, the one that's been drowned out by years of to-do lists and expectations. Jung's own journey. Jung didn't just come up with this stuff out of thin air. He lived it. Back in his late 30s, he was a big deal in the psychology world, mates with Sigmund Freud and all that. But then things went pear-shaped. He and Freud had a massive falling out, and their friendship fell apart. Jung was left reeling, questioning everything. Instead of brushing it off, he leaned into the chaos. He pulled back from the public eye and spent years digging into his own mind, his dreams, his fears, his subconscious. He scribbled down his thoughts in what became the Red Book, a raw, messy record of his inner journey. Through that process, he came up with some of his best ideas, including the concept of individuation. That's the process of peeling back the layers to find your true self, the person you are when you strip away the job titles, the social masks, and the expectations. It's about asking, who am I, really? What do I want out of this life, not what does everyone else expect? The afternoon of life. Jung had this cracking metaphor for midlife. He called it the afternoon of life. Just like you wouldn't live your ARVO the same way you'd live your morning, you can't live your 40s and beyond by the same rules as your 20s. Back in your younger years, it was all about proving yourself, nailing that job interview, buying your first car, maybe starting a family. But in midlife, the focus shifts. It's less about ambition and more about wisdom. Less about what you can achieve and more about what makes you feel alive. The problem is, a lot of us resist this shift. We cling to the old ways, trying to stay young forever. We scroll through Instagram, comparing ourselves to 20-somethings with perfect abs and perfect lives. Or we throw ourselves into work, thinking one more bonus will make everything right. But life's like the seasons, you can't stop autumn from coming. And if you try, you might end up stuck, feeling empty despite having everything you thought you wanted. Jung called this midlife neurosis, a kind of soul sickness that creeps in when you ignore the call to change. It's that gnawing sense of meaninglessness, even when your life looks perfect on paper. Some people try to numb it with distractions, binging Netflix, scrolling X, or working 80-hour weeks. Others sink into a quiet despair, wondering why they feel so lost. But if you listen to that call, if you lean into the discomfort, you start a different kind of journey, one that's about discovering yourself, not just building a life. How to embrace the shift. So, how do you do it? How do you turn this midlife crossroads into an awakening? Jung didn't leave a step-by-step guide, but his ideas point to a few ways to navigate this phase without losing your marbles. Make peace with change. First up, stop fighting change. It's as natural as the tides rolling in at Bondi. Just like you grew out of your teenage years, you're growing into a new phase now. The rules that worked when you were 25, hustle hard, say yes to everything, don't always fit in your 40s. Instead of clinging to the past, see this as a chance to evolve. It's not about losing what you've built, it's about building something deeper. Let go of the old mask. Next, start letting go of that persona you've been wearing. You're not just your job, your bank balance, or the person you pretended to be to impress your mates back in the day. Maybe you've been the corporate high flyer, but you're itching to start a small business. Or maybe you've been the perfect parent, but you want to carve out time for yourself again. Letting go of those old identities can feel scary, like you're losing a part of yourself. But it's really about making space for something more real. Listen to what's calling you. Pay attention to the little nudges from your subconscious. Jung believed our deeper self sends us clues, through dreams, random obsessions, or that quiet longing for something you can't quite name. Maybe you've been dreaming about painting again. like you did as a kid. Or you find yourself drawn to books about philosophy or spirituality. Those aren't random. They are signposts, pointing you towards the next chapter. So, grab a notebook. Jot down what's been on your mind, and see where it leads. Rediscover forgotten passions. Speaking of childhood, midlife is a cracking time to reconnect with the things you loved before life got in the way. Remember how you used to spend hours strumming a guitar or scribbling stories. Those passions often resurface in your 40s, and it's not just nostalgia. Jung reckoned it's your unconscious trying to bring balance back. So, dust off that old sketchbook. Sign up for a pottery class, or start tinkering with that novel you've always wanted to write. It's not about being the best, it's about feeling alive. Redefine success. In your 20s and 30s, success might have meant a fat paycheck or a corner office. But in midlife, it's time to rewrite the rules. What makes you feel fulfilled? Maybe it's spending more time with your kids, volunteering at the local community center, or just having the freedom to take a walk in the bush without checking your emails. Focus on what lights you up, even if it doesn't come with a trophy or a LinkedIn post. Trust the process. Finally, remember that this isn't a quick fix. Individuation, becoming your true self, is a journey, not a weekend project. It unfolds over years, through moments of doubt, discovery, and growth. There will be days when you feel like you're nailing it, and others when you're not sure what the hell you're doing. That's all part of it. Trust that you're moving in the right direction, even when the path feels a bit wobbly. Why midlife matters. Here's the thing, midlife isn't the beginning of the end. It's the start of something richer, something with more depth. It's when you stop chasing everyone else's idea of a good life and start chasing your own. And history's full of people who hit their stride after 40. Take Leonardo da Vinci, he was 51 when he painted the Mona Lisa. Or Viktor Frankl, who wrote Man's Search for Meaning in his 40s, turning his suffering into a guide for finding purpose. Even Jung himself did his best work after his own midlife reckoning. These folks weren't just ticking boxes. They were becoming something, someone, more authentic. And you can too. Whether you're 40, 50, or beyond, it's never too late to start. That restlessness you're feeling, it's not a sign that something's wrong. It's a sign that something's ready to begin. So, if you're standing at that midlife crossroads, don't be afraid to take the road less traveled. Give yourself permission to evolve, to let go of what's no longer you, and to lean into the uncertainty. Everything up until now, the wins, the losses, the lessons, was just the warm-up. The real adventure, the one where you finally become yourself, is just getting started.